At first, when you meet Misery, he seems fairly normal. Friendly, funny, smiles a lot, fun. You learn pretty quick that Misery's down to go everywhere you go. We all know Misery loves company. So as Misery and I spent more and more time together, he brought around new friends. Depression, anxiety, anger, self-loathing. And at first, these guys don't seem so bad. Over time, I realized that I'd allowed Misery to separate me from my real friends, from the people who wanted good things for me in my life. And I got upset when they wanted to pull me away from Misery. Misery and I had become close. And when they told me I was better than this, it pissed me off because at the time I didn't want better. I was comfortable in my self-pity, in my anger, in my depression, in my room with the door closed, just me and Misery. You see, behind that door I knew myself. And when I talked out loud where no one could hear me, I could make excuses for who I was. I could convince myself that this was my burden to bear, and one day it was going to be okay. But you see, I had let Misery move in, and like living with a bad roommate that never cleaned up after himself, that borrowed your things without asking, that invited people over that you couldn't stand to be around, I felt stuck. I didn't even lock the door anymore. I just let him come and go rent-free, draining my life like it was his own personal expense fund. I made a friend many years ago. The kind of friend that I didn't see enough, that I didn't talk to enough. Most of the time, when we did speak, it was just me yelling at him like my life was his fault. One day I woke up and I just couldn't handle all the misery that Misery had caused, and I called this friend. I told him I'd put myself in a bad spot, and I'd let my house be overtaken by someone I no longer wished to know. And just as soon as I had said the words, he was at my door with his own suitcase ready to move in. It took some time, but slowly, anxiety, who came and went, one day didn't come back. Anger and self-loathing stopped coming around not long after that. Depression finally got off my couch and left. It was like the garbage had taken itself out. One morning I woke up and asked my friend, "Where's Misery?" When he told me he had stepped out, I screamed, "We need to change the locks," like it was a new revelation that I had never thought of. He tossed me new keys and said he already had. Now when Misery and his friends try to come through my house like it's a cheap motel, they're met with locked doors and a no occupancy sign. You see, my house is huge, but after love and happiness moved in, there was no room for Misery. And as far as my friend that literally saved my life, we still live together. Stop by sometime. I'd love for you to meet him.